Hello everyone and welcome to my bullet journal setup for October. So I wasn't sure if I was going to do an October bullet journal setup, but then I thought I had some ideas for some new layouts, and since my September bullet journal share that I did, which was my first YouTube video for a bullet journal, had some little slip-ups, so I thought I would give this another try. And it's kind of funny because I've been using a bullet journal for about 4 years now, and this is only my second video where I've actually shared what I do in my bullet journal. And I generally do a pretty simple layout because I think that if I had something that was more detailed, I probably wouldn't do it because I like to focus most of my time on actual artwork. If a bullet journal creating was a bigger thing for me, then I'm sure I would make it more intricate. But for now, anyways, I just like to do some little doodles in it sometimes, and sometimes I don't even doodle. But I thought for October, since it's a very special month for a lot of us, that I would put some extra effort into it and record it so you guys can see what kind of things I like to do in my bullet journal. So I had an extra page. Usually I just go straight to the calendar spread, but since I ended the month of September on the left page, I thought that I would put a little title page for October. And what better thing to put on a title page but a cute little vampire Grim Reaper. I love Grim Reapers. I don't know why, but for some reason I think that they are so cute. And I love the little skeleton hands, and with all the little bone digits. I don't know. I'm a big fan of drawing fingers and toes, so I had to get a close-up of that little creation there. And every Grim Reaper needs a black cat. Or I feel they need a black cat. I mean, it just seems like something that they would have with them. And not that I've ever seen one in any artwork, but maybe I should do something about that. I am planning on hopefully doing the Inktober challenge this year, so I might continue along this theme with some of my drawings. We'll see. We'll see what I get to. So there's my big Grim Reaper scythe? I forget how you pronounce it, so forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. I do it every time. And I had some fun spelling out October. I figured I should put some pentagrams in there. Pentagrams are a pretty big deal with some witchiness in October or any time of the year, because they do signify the elements: water, air, fire, and earth, as well as spirit. So that's your 5 edges, your 5 points of the pentagram. That's what that is. And it's like a form of protection. So yeah, I thought for some reason it worked really well for the Grim Reaper. I use a lot of tombos in my bullet journal because they are water-based, so they don't bleed through. You can see them through the page depending on the colors that you use, but they don't bleed through like an alcohol marker does. So if you used a big Sharpie or Copic markers, for instance, it would just bleed right through the other page. So, and you probably notice that a lot of people use tombos when they add color to their bullet journals, among other things, like the Statler fine liners are good for that too. And the main marker that I use in my bullet journal for all the writing, for all the outlining, is the same one that I use for all my notes, and it's just a basic Sharpie, and it doesn't bleed through. You can see it through, as you can tell here, but it doesn't create a big bleed, so that's really nice. Adding just a little bit of detail. I didn't want to go too overboard because I usually, like I said, I don't do a whole lot of detail in my bullet journal, but I just wanted to do something a little extra special for the month of October, which is a very special month for me, for another specific reason other than, you know, Halloween, which a lot of us seem to really get excited about for October. And of course I needed to add it, a moon. What would it be without it? And some little stars, just to kind of spruce the page up a bit. There you have it, my little Grim Reaper vampire dude. Nice little simple starter page. Okay, and then we're on to the monthly spread, and that's just kind of giving you a quick view of it. And sorry for the shake of the camera every once in a while. So here we're using Tombows again, and this is the moon that I'm filling in. And you'll get some more detail of that as we go along. And I guess I'll tell you right now one of the reasons that, or maybe you know why I'm doing the moon in blue. If you follow the phases of the moon and through the year, some different meanings of the moon, then you may know why I'm painting a blue moon. I'll let you think about that for a little bit as we go through this spread. At first I was thinking of having the moon black and then adding some white detail to it, but you know, for reasons that you may already know or that you'll know soon enough, I decided to go with the blue. And I didn't want all the spreads to be just black and white, even though I like them to be really simple. I added a little bit of color to it just because it kind of draws the eye in a little bit more. Just a little bit of color. There we go, my moon. Okay, and I also decided to add a couple of runes to the edge of the page. So we're starting a theme here. Some of the things that I do on a daily basis, I do my moon phases every day, and I pull a tarot card. You'll see one of those later. And I also pull a rune every day. And so these two runes I thought were appropriate for the month of October because they both, the top one there is the Yura rune, and it's about the harvest year, or I should say it's about the harvest and the flow of life and death and rebirth and the seasons. So I thought it was a good one for October. And the other one is Burkano, which is one of my favorites. It's also a life, death, rebirth rune, and it talks about regeneration and growth and new beginnings. And I thought that one was nice because Samhain, which is on the 31st of October, which is also Halloween, is also in the wheel of the year. It is the ending and beginning of a new year, and it's also when the veil is the thinnest, and you can communicate a different level with your ancestors and those who have passed before you. So I thought that those runes were appropriate for adding a little bit of detail and reminder to the month of October. One different thing I did here for this spread is I generally put in the notes for the birthdays and for the moon phases and appointments. So this time I did birthdays and appointments, but I didn't put in a little block on the side for the moon phases because I realized I also add them directly to the day of the calendar. So that was kind of a redundant thing to do. So I skipped that out, which gave me more room for birthdays because we have a lot of birthdays in October. And I do like to do a 2-page calendar spread because I do often write directly in those spaces, appointments or little notes, something that I have to remember for the day. So I like to have a little bit of extra room to do it. And I think it looks nice as a full spread too. And I didn't make a single mistake. Yay! Which is so rare when I do a calendar spread. So I'm pretty happy about that. So there are my moon phases. So as you see, on the 1st of October and the 31st of October are both full moons. And you may or may not know this, but that means it's a blue moon month. And we get very excited about that. When you have 2 full moons in a month, the second one is considered a blue moon. And what better time to have it than October 31st? We've been waiting for this full moon, my family, for a few years now. We were so excited that there was going to be one, so we're pretty psyched about it. So it's a very special day for us. And I added some rosemary on the side there. Rosemary is a plant of memory, so I thought that was really good for a bullet journal. And I love rosemary. I have a plant of rosemary growing in my windowsill inside the house. And I also write in the dates for November and the birthdays to come along, as well as the moon phases, and a little spot for notes. And now a fancy October script. It's really awkward, I find, being left-handed and doing some calligraphy. I always have to change the position of my hand to get it right, because I have to make sure it doesn't get in the way and I can get the angle right. But I think I did it okay. Sorry about the shake again. There we go. October. Okay, so on the next page, this is something that I noticed some other bullet journal people do, and I thought, oh, this is a great idea to make a brain dump page. And so I thought it would be kind of funny to actually have a skull. Of course, it's another vampire skull because vampires are awesome. And so the dump, it sounds awful. The brain dump idea is actually coming out of where the brain would have been. So there you have it. So I thought that was kind of a neat idea for October. And just add a little bit of some shading to add some contrast, just to make it a bit more interesting. And having one of those whiteout tapes is always very handy. I use them more than I wish I had to, but I wish I didn't have to use them at all, because they're also a bit of a, you have to throw them in the garbage when you're done. But yeah. So kind of going along the theme of kind of like a creepy Halloween-ish witchy vibe, having some old signs hanging, so to speak, on a wall that know what my expenses are for the month, because I always like to keep track of those to make sure that everything is paid. So that is very important for me to do this, because my head gets too full of things, and that's what a bullet journal is for. And YouTube ideas, and I want to make a lot more YouTube videos, so that's always good to have there. And Skillshare. I've done one class so far, and I have some ideas for more, and so I want to keep track of those, so that kind of helps me stay on top of things for doing some more Skillshare classes. I've only done one so far, and you can always check it out. I can put a link to it in the description here, but it's about different kinds of ink pens and markers that you can choose to use for your artwork and illustrations. And it's something that I wish I had known about when I first started. One of my inspirations was Inktober, and I learned a lot about markers and ink pens through that experience, and I just wanted to share that with people. There's a lot of differences between them, so I did a class on it. So you can check that out if you would like, and it's a good month to do that with Inktober if you're going to be doing any of the challenge. Always a fun one to see all the different things that artists create for Inktober. So on this page, I guess I'll describe what I'm doing first before I actually say what the page is about. So I'm creating a book, as you can probably see, and I wanted it to look like a book of shadows. A book of shadows is kind of like a journal where you write down your spells, your ideas, recipes, thoughts. And so I thought that would be an appropriate design for this spread. And yet again, I've got some more rosemary in here because it's the memory plant, and this is going to be a spread about memories for the month. And I love drawing plants. I love plants, so I'm a big plant person, garden person, so it's a nice little detail, but not too much, just a little bit. And some bits of rosemary that have fallen onto where the table would be. My hand's not really steady all the time, so it's not as, the lines aren't as clean as I would like them to be, but that's okay. I don't mind. A bit of shake again there, sorry guys. Okay, so there you go. These are my 31 days of blessings, and if it were September, it's 30 days of blessings, or it could be 29 or 28, and what I do for every day is I write down a couple sentences of something that made me happy for that day, and then I can go back to it every month, and it's just really nice to look at. So there you have it, and there's my little tarot card at the top on the right side, and that is for the Hermit, which is one of my favorite tarot cards. Absolutely love the Hermit. So now we're on the last spread. Oh my goodness, this is going faster than I thought it would. Hopefully you're still with me. What I decided to do for this spread was to use candles as my, I guess, signage labels for what each of the squares would be about. So the top one is going to be where I'll be writing in my tasks for the month. And these are not just the daily things that I write in for every day, but the main things that I need to do and that I can look back on and choose to write in, or a reminder of big things that need to be done for the month. And the candles are good for that because when you do a spell, you can etch your kind of your affirmation, what it is that you are focusing on onto the candle, and then you do your spell and you let it burn all the way down, and it's kind of like sending that idea or intention out into the ether to help your spell. So, and this last page here that I'm doing right now are the first 3 days of the month for October. And I thought it would make it look like they were on old sheets of paper. And then I used little scrying balls, crystal balls. Oh my goodness, I guess that's the usual word for them, crystal balls, for the dates for the day. And for Saturday and Sunday, I don't usually put a whole lot through the days. They're not as busy as the weekdays, so I decided to do them just in the same column. So this is kind of a new bit of a layout where I start my week ahead, where I draw everything out. And I didn't always do this because I would have different lengths of information that I put for each day. But I'm going to try and do it this way because there are times where I want to write things that I need to do, the next day or later in the week. And this way I can see it all ahead of time. And I think it'll help me keep things organized a little bit better. And upcoming at the bottom can be for whatever's going to be on the next spread so that I remember it to put it in on the next spread. Or I don't know, maybe it's just something that I need to do that I'm not sure of the date yet. And then a little spot for ideas. Now I'm just going to add some more details with the tombos. Yet again, I didn't want to use really colorful colors this month. I don't know why I didn't want to use orange because, it's really bright and it's funny for October. I like the color orange, but I always find it for the orange and the black for Halloween. I don't know why, but I always found it to be such a bit of a contrast for me. So I decided to go with just a natural, earthy tone for the month of October. Here we go, back to our spread and just testing the colors on previous pages before I use them. I thought I'd add a little bit of green here for the rosemary, just to add a tiny bit more color. I don't have a huge amount of Tombow colors, so because I don't really use them for much else other than the bullet journal. That's also why it's not a really colorful spread, is because maybe the colors that I would use for it I just don't have. So I thought I would just go with something simple. And I like to use the Tombows to highlight every other line when I do my Days of Blessings, because I find it just separates it a bit. It's just a bit more aesthetically pleasing and kind of makes it easier to read. So it's not all just a bunch of jumble of notes. In September, I used a gray and it was a little too dark. It was a little harder to read the notes. So this time I thought I would use, yet again, a neutral color, so a light brown. And I like the way the book idea turned out, so I might actually continue this on through the other months. And, you know, we'll see if I do any more videos. If you like seeing my spreads for the bullet journal for the different months, then let me know and perhaps I will continue. I'm not much of a journal person, writing pages in a journal. I find it's just a bit too much pressure for me. So if you're one of those kinds of people too, you might find something like this where you just have a little something then you write for each day. A little less pressure, a little easier to deal with, and then it's nice that, you know, you get a little something down on paper to remember, but it's not something that took a huge amount of time, especially if you've got a busy life, which most of us do. And the book I'm using is the Leuchtturm 1917. I started with the graph style, and now I've gone to the dotted, and it's just preference, but I like it a little better. There's my incense and my matches. I'm just adding a bit more detail in the colors on the last spread. I don't have the steadiest hand, so as you can see, there are some mistakes here with when I'm doing the lines, but that's okay. I don't mind. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just for myself. So. And then I decided to make the crystal balls black and add in the dates with a white Signo pen. There we go. There's the Signo. I like these better than the gel pens that a lot of people use, because I find that it's a lot easier to write on different surfaces with it. And I find it shows up fairly well on the black. So there's my cover page, my little death dude and the kitty cat. And my spread, I really like the way it turned out with my blue moon, my October. Now I have to add in all the details. And then, yeah, there you have it all. Brain dump, expenses, YouTube, and Skillshare. Those will be filled up this month. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this October planning spread, and maybe we'll see you doing some Inktober. Thanks for stopping by as always, and have a lovely month. Stay safe, take care, and we'll see you next time.